The coat was worthless. It was navy blue wool, patched at the elbows with plaid fabric, missing 3 buttons, and smelled faintly of lavender and old sorrows. To a pawn shop, it wasn't worth $1, but to Nora Hayes, it was everything. It was her roof, her blanket, and the last hug her dead mother ever gave her. So when Nora took it off in the middle of a blizzard to wrap it around a shivering stranger, she knew exactly what she was doing. She was choosing to die so someone else could live. She didn't know the girl she saved was Isabella Moretti, the princess of the Chicago underworld. She didn't know that by saving the daughter, she had summoned the father, Vincent Moretti, the shadow, the monster in the Italian suit. She thought she was freezing to death in an abandoned lot. She didn't know she was about to be set on fire by a love that would burn down the entire city just to keep her warm. This is the story of the girl who gave away her warmth and the devil who gave her the world in return. The night felt less like weather and more like a weapon. The wind in Chicago didn't just blow, it cut. It sliced through skin and bone, turning the world into a white, blinding tomb. Isabella Moretti, 17 years old, and usually shielded by bulletproof glass and private security, found herself somewhere she had never been, helpless. She backed away until her spine hit the freezing metal of a black BMW. "Brandon, please," she stammered. Her teeth were chattering so hard the words fractured. "It's freezing. Just take me home." Brandon Ashford laughed. It was a cruel, wet sound. He was drunk on whiskey and wounded pride. "What's the matter, princess?" he sneered, stepping closer. "Daddy's little mafia brat can't handle a little cold. You thought you were too good for me at the party. You embarrassed me, Isabella." "I said no," Isabella whispered. "That's not a crime." "In my world, it is," Brandon snarled. He shoved her hard. Isabella stumbled back, her heels slipping on the black ice. She fell into the slush, the cold instantly soaking through her thin party dress. The buttons of her coat popped off as she hit the ground. "Walk home," Brandon spat. He got into his car, the engine roaring like a beast. "Let's see how special you are when you turn into an icicle." The taillights faded into the whiteout. Isabella was alone, 10 miles from home, minus 20 degrees. She tried to stand, but the wind pushed her back down. She curled into a ball, the tears freezing on her cheeks before they could even fall. "Dad, Daddy, help me!" But Vincent Moretti was in a boardroom across the city, and no one was coming. But someone was watching. From the shadows of a crumbled factory wall, a figure emerged. Nora Hayes, 27 years old, but looking 40. Her cheekbones were sharp enough to cut glass, her eyes hollowed out by 8 months of starvation. She wore 3 layers of hole-ridden sweaters and a navy blue coat that had seen better decades. Nora had been scavenging for cans when she saw the car dump the girl. She knew the rule of the streets: don't get involved, invisibility is survival. But she saw the girl shivering. She saw the terrifying tremors that meant hypothermia was setting in. Nora walked forward. "Hey," she rasped. Her voice was rusty from disuse. Isabella looked up, eyes wide with terror. "Please, I don't have any money." "I don't want money," Nora said. She looked at the girl's blue lips. "You're freezing." I can't feel my fingers." Nora didn't think, she just acted. Her hands moved to the buttons of her navy coat, the only thing standing between her and the deathly cold. She unbuttoned it. The wind hit her thin sweaters like a physical punch, knocking the breath out of her. "Here," Nora said, draping the heavy wool over Isabella's shaking shoulders. "Put your arms in." "What? No!" Isabella tried to push it back. "You'll die. You're so thin. You can't." "I live close by. Nora lied. The lie came easy. She didn't tell the girl her home was a damp basement with no heat 5 miles away. "Take it, and take these." Nora kicked off her sneakers. They were worn with holes in the toes, but they were dry. She was left barefoot in the snow. "Put them on," Nora commanded. Isabella, weeping, obeyed. "Who are you? Please, what's your name?" Nora was already backing away, her feet instantly numb, turning purple against the white ground. "Just keep walking," Nora whispered. "Don't stop moving." Nora turned and vanished into the whiteout, a ghost leaving behind her shell. She walked into the dark, knowing with a calm certainty that she would likely never see the sun rise again. The penthouse of the Moretti Tower was warm. It smelled of espresso and expensive leather. Vincent Moretti sat at the head of a mahogany table surrounded by the 4 other crime bosses of Chicago. Vincent was 36, but his eyes were ancient, steel gray, unreadable. He was a man who had built an empire on silence and violence. His phone buzzed, 1 vibration. Vincent ignored it. It buzzed again, 2 vibrations. That was the emergency signal. Vincent raised a hand. The room fell silent. He picked up the phone. "Speak." "Boss." Marco's voice cracked. Marco never cracked. "Isabella, Northwestern Hospital." The world stopped spinning. Vincent stood up. The chair scrapped loudly against the floor. "I'm leaving," he said. "Vincent, we haven't settled the territory dispute," one of the bosses protested. Vincent turned. He didn't shout. He didn't scowl. He just looked at the man with a dead, flat stare. "If you speak again," Vincent said softly, "I will cut your tongue out." He walked out. In the hospital room, Vincent Moretti looked at his daughter. She was wrapped in thermal blankets, hookups to IVs. Her cheek was bruised. "Who did this?" Vincent asked. His voice was calm, the kind of calm before a tsunami. "Brandon Ashford," Isabella whispered. He left me in the industrial district." Vincent nodded. He looked at Marco. "Ashford, find him. Do not kill him. Bring him to the warehouse. I want to have a conversation." Marco nodded. "Done." "But Dad," Isabella grabbed his hand, "I wouldn't be here. A woman, she saved me." Vincent frowned. "A woman?" "She came out of nowhere. She was starving, Dad. You could see her bones. She gave me her coat. She gave me her shoes. She walked away barefoot." Vincent looked to the side table. There, folded neatly, was the navy coat. He picked it up. It was light, threadbare. It was garbage, and yet it was the heaviest thing he had ever held. "She saved my life," Isabella sobbed. "Find her, Dad, please." Vincent handed the coat to Marco. "Get the dogs. Get the thermal drones. Find this woman. If she walked barefoot in this storm, we don't have time." Marco found the footprints first. They were small, bare, leading into the desolate wasteland of the abandoned factories. "Boss," Marco said over the radio, "I've got a blood trail. Her feet are bleeding." Vincent was in the second SUV. He jumped out into the snow. He didn't wait for his men. He followed the red stains in the snow. They led to a rusted iron door of a crumbling factory. Vincent kicked the door open. He clicked on his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a basement of horrors. Mold on the walls, icicles hanging from the ceiling, a corner with a cardboard box and a wrapper of a granola bar. And there, curled in a fetal ball on a dirty mattress, was Nora. She wasn't moving. Her skin was blue. Her lips were purple. Vincent rushed forward. He dropped to his knees, ruining his $3,000 suit in the filth. He pulled off his glove and touched her neck. Ice. She felt like ice. "No," Vincent growled. "You don't get to die, not after what you did." He felt a pulse, faint, thready, a flutter of a bird wing. "She's alive!" Vincent shouted. "Get the medic! Get the heat!" He ripped off his cashmere coat and wrapped it around her. He lifted her into his arms. She weighed nothing. She was lighter than Isabella. "I've got you," Vincent whispered into her frozen ear. "I've got you." Nora woke up in heaven. That was the only explanation. The air was warm. The bed was a cloud. There was a smell of fresh flowers. She opened her eyes. A crystal chandelier hung above her. "I must be dead," she croaked. "You're not dead, though you tried very hard to be." Nora turned her head. Sitting in a velvet armchair by the bed was a man. Dark hair, cruel jawline, eyes that looked like a winter storm. "Who are you?" Nora whispered. "I am Vincent Moretti, and you are Nora Hayes." Nora stiffened. "How do you know my name?" Vincent stood up. He held a file folder. "I know everything, Nora. I know you are 27. I know your mother died of cancer. I know your stepfather, Ray, beat you for 4 years and then sold you to traffickers when you were 18. I know you escaped. I know you have been homeless for 8 months." He tossed the file on the bed. "And I know about Lily." Nora tried to sit up, panic flooding her veins. "Leave my sister alone. She's in foster care. She's safe." "She is in foster care," Vincent corrected, "but she is not safe. She has a congenital heart defect. She needs surgery in 3 months or she dies. The state won't pay for the specialist she needs. It costs $200,000. Nora slumped back. The tears came hot and fast. "I know. I'm trying. I'm saving." "You have $12, Vincent said bluntly. "I'll work harder." "You will die," Vincent said. "You almost died last night giving my daughter your coat." Nora blinked. "Your daughter? The girl in the snow?" "Yes. You saved the only thing I care about in this world." Vincent walked to the bedside. He leaned down, his hands resting on the mattress, trapping her. "And the Moretti family pays its debts." "I don't want money," Nora said, lifting her chin. "I'm not offering charity," Vincent said. "I'm offering a job." "What job?" 2 years, Vincent said. "You work for me, my personal assistant. You live here in the estate where it is safe. In exchange, I pay for Lily's surgery, I pay for her recovery, and I hire the lawyers to get you custody." Nora stared at him. It was a deal with the devil. She knew who he was now. The name Moretti was whispered in fear on the streets. "Why?" asked Nora. "You could just write a check." Vincent looked away, toward the window. "Because you gave everything you had when you had nothing. I need people like that around me. My world is full of snakes, Nora. I need loyalty." Nora looked at his hand. There were bruises on his knuckles, fresh ones. "What happened to your hand?" she asked. Vincent looked at his knuckles. "I had a conversation with the boy who hurt my daughter." Nora shivered. "Is he dead?" "No," Vincent said, "but he will never forget his manners again. Do we have a deal?" Nora thought of Lily, her little sister, alone in the orphanage, her heart failing. She looked at the devil. "Deal," she whispered. Life in the Moretti estate was a culture shock that rattled Nora's bones. She went from a basement to a suite with a balcony. She went from hunger to 3 meals a day prepared by a chef named Henri who cried when he saw how thin she was. But the hardest part wasn't the luxury. It was him. Vincent was intense. He worked 20 hours a day. Nora's job was legitimate. She managed his schedule, filtered his calls, and organized his chaotic office. She was good at it. Survival had taught her to be observant. She noticed things others missed. One night, 3 weeks in, Vincent was pacing his office. He was growling at Marco about a shipment. Nora walked in. She placed a cup on his desk. Black coffee, 2 drops of vanilla, just how he liked it. though he never told her. "Stop pacing," Nora said softly. "You're making Marco dizzy." Vincent stopped. He looked at her. Most people trembled when he was angry. Nora just looked at him with those big brown eyes. "I am not making him dizzy," Vincent muttered. But he sat down. He took a sip. His shoulders relaxed. "Thank you," he grunted. "Go home, Marco," Nora said to the scary bodyguard. "He's done for the night." Marco looked at Vincent. Vincent nodded. As Marco left, he whispered to Nora, "You're a witch." He would have yelled for another hour. The peace couldn't last. 2 months later, Nora was at her desk in the Moretti Tower when she heard the shouting in the lobby. "I know she's here, that ungrateful brat." Nora froze. Her blood turned to ice. She knew that voice. Ray. She walked to the glass railing. Down in the lobby, Ray Hayes was drunk, shoving a security guard. "Nora, I know you're working for the big shots now. You owe me. I raised you." Nora couldn't breathe. The room spun. The memories of the belt, the dark closet, the shipping container, it all crashed over her. Then a door opened behind her. Vincent stepped out. He saw Nora's pale face. He looked down at the lobby. "Who is that?" Vincent asked. His voice was terrifyingly low. "My stepfather, Ray," Nora whispered. Vincent didn't say a word. He touched his earpiece. "Marco, bring that man to the alley, now." "Vincent, no!" Nora grabbed his arm. "Don't kill him, please. I don't want that on my conscience." Vincent looked at her hand on his arm. Then he looked at her eyes. "I won't kill him," Vincent promised, "but he will wish I had." Vincent met Ray in the back alley. Ray was shouting threats until he saw Vincent. Then Ray shrunk. "Mr. Moretti," Ray stammered. I'm just here for my daughter." "She's not your daughter," Vincent said. He took off his watch and handed it to Marco. "She is my employee, and she is under my protection." "She owes me money," Ray yelled. "I sold her for—" Ray stopped. He realized what he admitted. Vincent smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "You sold her," Vincent repeated. Vincent stepped forward. Thud, a punch to the gut. Ray folded. Crack, a knee to the nose. "That," Vincent said, standing over the bleeding man, "is for the hunger." He kicked him in the ribs. "That is for the belt." He grabbed Ray by the collar. "And this is for making her think she wasn't worth anything." Vincent didn't kill him. He loaded him onto a cargo plane. "Send him to the sulfur mines in Alaska," Vincent ordered Marco. "If he ever steps foot in Chicago again, dissolve him in acid." That night, Vincent came to Nora's apartment in the estate. His knuckles were bruised again. He didn't say anything. He just stood there. Nora took his hand. She led him to the sink. She washed the blood off his knuckles with a warm cloth. "You didn't have to," she whispered. "Yes," Vincent said, looking at her lips. "I did." They fell in love like a car crash, slowly, then all at once. It was in the shared glances, the way Vincent read bedtime stories to Lily when she visited, the way Isabella called Nora Mom by accident and then blushed. But happiness is a beacon for enemies. Viktor Kozlov, the head of the Russian mob, wanted Chicago, and he knew Vincent Moretti was untouchable, unless you found his heart. Everyone thought Isabella was the weakness, but Kozlov's spies saw who Vincent looked at when he thought no one was watching. It happened on a Tuesday. Nora was leaving the hospital after visiting Lily, who was recovering beautifully from her surgery. A van pulled up, a bag over the head, a needle in the neck. Darkness. When Nora woke up, she was tied to a chair in a warehouse that smelled of fish and gasoline. Viktor Kozlov stood in front of her. "So," the Russian said, You are the stray cat Vincent picked up." "Go to hell," Nora spat. Victor laughed. He dialed a number on speakerphone. "Moretti," Vincent's voice, sharp. "I have her," Victor said. Silence. A silence so heavy it felt like it could crush the phone. "If you touch her," Vincent said, his voice sounding like gravel grinding together, "I will peel your skin off while you are still using it." "Give me the northern docks," Victor said, "and the casino routes. You have 24 hours. Click. Victor looked at Nora. He won't give it up. A boss never gives up territory for a woman. Nora closed her eyes. He might not give up the territory, but he's coming, and you should run. Vincent didn't bring an army. He didn't want to risk Nora in a crossfire. He went alone. He tracked the phone signal to the docks. He walked into the warehouse district armed with 2 handguns and a combat knife. He moved like a shadow. Guard 1, snap, neck broken. Guard 2, thwip, knife in the throat. He reached the main room. Nora was there, bruised, a gun to her head held by Victor. "Drop the gun, Moretti," Victor screamed, "or I paint the wall with her brains." Vincent stood 20 feet away. He dropped his guns. He raised his hands. "Let her go, Victor. This is between us." "You are weak," Victor laughed. "You came alone for a stray?" "She's not a stray," Vincent said softly. "She's my wife." Nora's eyes widened. "What?" That split second was all Vincent needed. He didn't go for the guns on the floor. He went for the knife hidden in his sleeve. He threw it. It buried itself in Victor's shoulder. Victor screamed, dropping the gun. Vincent was on him in a heartbeat. The rage that poured out of him was primal. He beat Victor until Marco pulled him off. Vincent scrambled over to Nora. He cut the ropes. He pulled her into his chest, burying his face in her neck. He was shaking. The monster of Chicago was shaking. "I'm sorry," he gasped. "I'm so sorry I let them take you." Nora held his face, smearing blood on her cheek. You came for me." "Always," Vincent vowed. "I would burn the world to find you." 2 days later, Nora was recovering in the hospital wing of the estate. Lily and Isabella were sleeping on the couch nearby. Vincent walked in. He looked tired. He had stitches on his forehead. "You called me your wife," Nora said, breaking the silence. Vincent froze. He sat on the edge of the bed. "I did. Was that a tactic to distract him?" Vincent took her hand. He ran his thumb over her scars. "No, it was the truth. I just hadn't asked you yet." He reached into his pocket. He pulled out a ring. It wasn't a massive, gaudy diamond. It was a vintage sapphire, dark blue, like the coat. "Nora Hayes," Vincent said, "you saved my daughter with a coat. You saved my soul with your kindness. I am a bad man. I have blood on my hands. But if you will have me, I will spend the rest of my life trying to be the man you deserve." Nora looked at the ring. She looked at the man who had pulled her from the snow and given her a life. "You're not a bad man, Vincent," she whispered. "You're just a man who loves fiercely." She kissed his bruised knuckles. "Yes." They didn't get married in a church. They got married in the snow. In the courtyard of the estate, amidst a gentle snowfall, Nora stood in a white gown that cost more than she used to earn in a decade. But over her shoulders, she didn't wear a fur stole. She wore a patched navy blue wool coat. Vincent had framed it, but for today he took it out. When he saw her, he cried. The boss cried. 10 years later, the Hayes Moretti Foundation opened its doors, a shelter for the homeless. Nora stood cutting the ribbon. Vincent stood beside her, holding their 5-year-old son, Leo. Isabella was there, now a doctor. Lily was there, healthy and starting college. Daniel, the son, pointed to a picture in the lobby. It was a picture of a tattered blue coat. "Daddy, why is that coat special?" Vincent kissed Nora's temple. "Because, son," Vincent said, "that coat is proof that even in the coldest winter, love can keep you warm."